again, if you look at it, talking about utilities and how best we can uh, sustain some of these, I want to marry this to the registration of the Lagos State residents here, because there's some questions that pop up rather, in trying to go through the registration, to the extent that people are suspicious of what government's true intentions are. Questions like, how many cars do you have? What kind of car do you drive? What kind of house do you live? Do you own the house? Maybe you should tell us why such questions are being asked during registration, and they say, well, that's something that government is actually working towards, and not the registration proper.
It's unfortunate that our experience as a people have not endeared us to our government, and it's not unique to these parts. But really and truly, as I've said, and I will reiterate, the purpose of the registration exercise is to gather data for planning. Now, if we are going to provide for 21 million people growing incrementally, we must know what kind of needs they have, what kind of services they demand. The data, for example, about cars are indicative to us of the number of vehicles that are going to be on our road. That is the way in order to know the traffic density of the state. In other parts of the country, the last data we had, and we want to test the integrity of that, because we're projecting this now just by vehicle registration. Okay? But that's not enough. We have data of vehicles, we have data of land, we have data of other services that people demand of us. But those data don't tell us, for example, how many children somebody who registers a car has. And if we don't have that data in a seamless way, we can't plan classrooms for those children when they come. Now we are reducing the overcrowding, but more children are arriving, even as we sit here. So if we don't know how many people are in the childbearing age, for example, how many people have children of what age, how can we project and anticipate ahead? I've told you some of the things that we've done in anticipating what will happen in power. So planning is the key. And once we have this data, you, for example, will be able to predict more realistically how many people you are even broadcasting to. So it will help business, it will help small retailers, it will help big companies, because it's going to be data that is going to be available, subject, of course, to restrictions as to classified information. But we are able to tell you how many people live in one area, how many people are of this age in this area. So that if, for example, you wanted to start a cinema business, you'll probably be able to know in that area how many people are likely, if you do sufficient. So because we go into business oftentimes without any plan. Somebody just takes money from somebody, and somebody gives somebody money, and he says he's running a business. 3 years down the line, that business is gone. And data is the most important currency of this age, and it will be of the age that we see ahead. And you know, no central bank prints that currency. People have to get it. And when you look at what you do on your telephone now, it's data. But the day you bought that telephone, there was no contact on it. You loaded all of the data. So if you want to call me, you just need perhaps to search my name. But how many 11-digit numbers would you remember? And that would be the difference between whether you are efficient or not efficient. If you have to go through pages every time to make a call, or if you want to load the information into digital and programmable format. And that's what the exercise is all about.
And another aspect is transmission, because, I mean, we also spoke about it, and I think Professor Babatunde Raji did say the way it is now, he thinks it should be changed because government handles that aspect. And we did ask him, look, what about the investment in that sector? Because if the generation and distribution invest a lot, at the end of the day, is government investing as much as is required in that sector? Because you don't want investment in generation and distribution surpassing that of transmission, because there will be a problem if that were the case.
I honestly wish I could answer that question. Regrettably, that is not my remit. That's the federal government's remit. I don't know what investments have been made in that sector. I also haven't had time to look at this year's budget. I hear Senate has passed it, so we want to see what's going on in there and so on and so forth. I mean, look, listen. How much is it going to cost, for example, even to have fixed the gas issue? The last I heard, by the time you invest $5 billion in gas pipelines, you will significantly have covered a lot of Nigeria, if not all of it. But look, what did we do with $20 billion? We can't even explain what happened to it. $20 billion should give you, on current projections, 20,000 megawatts of power. That's what we can't account for. And we're all agonizing and tearing at each other over 4,000 megawatts that plays yo-yo every day, gas pipelines, and so on and so forth. So, but really and truly, we just need to knuckle down and take ourselves seriously. We need to agree that there's a problem. We need to address those problems with the seriousness that they deserve, with the commitment that they deserve, and go away from all of this sloganeering and propaganda type of governance, and get, when people see change, they will acknowledge it. And we don't need to tell them that things are changing. When they see it, they will acknowledge it because they know it.
But you do admit that in solving the power problem, there will be areas where you will need to cooperate, or you will need the cooperation of the federal government in that regard.
Of course. Look, listen. Cooperation is what we have been doing. Ehingbeti is cooperation. Because the legislation is a federal legislation, the people who will benefit from the power are Nigerians from all walks of life. If the possibilities that we see here unlock, you know what will happen? It would accrue to the benefit of the Federal Republic of Nigeria if the economy of Lagos does well. If we were not cooperating, you can't have GDP figures of the size that you have if you took out Lagos's GDP from it or Lagos's contribution. So cooperation is a no-brainer. If we disagree, it is on principles and strategy. And my colleague from Ogun was here 2 days ago. And first of all, he made it very clear that he was my competitor. But he made it very clear, too, that we were working together. Now, there were issues about tax collection by people who lived in Ogun and who were working in Lagos and who ordinarily should have paid their taxes to Ogun State. And immediately he took up the issue, and I said, look, we will not keep a kobo of money that does not belong to us. I will remit that money to you. Let's build a framework for making remittances. And we started making those remittances.
And you would have done that regardless of whether or not he was in a political party?
Certainly I would. Look, listen. The point is this. For me, the politics that I think our people need is a politics, as I've said at the Governor's Forum, of very, very healthy but fierce competition for development, for improvement of the lives of people. And that really is the expectation that I guess that the ordinary citizens want to hear, that Lagos has more power than another state. And 3 years down the line, that other state exceeds Lagos's power generating capacity. And because there is scope for individualism in that collective competition, because the resources from state to state are so enormous that almost every state really can define its own identity within a common circumference of cooperation that we have. And while Ogun competes with us, they want to feed us, according to my colleague, he's still gracious enough to give me land to plant rice in his state. Other states have also done the same. So
that's your agricultural development?
Yes, because I don't have enough land.
So you have farmlands outside of Lagos?
We're planting 500 hectares of rice paddies in Ogun, in Egua. We have a farm in Oshogbo now where we're planting vegetables, and we have one in Abuja where we are starting cultivation. I made those announcements about 2 years ago, and it's beginning to yield results. They have liaison offices here that I protect. So this for me is a no-brainer, really.
You know, sorry, Mark, a couple of questions here, but I know this one has always come to us. Perhaps this is the time for us to bring it in. It has to do with your institution, Lagos State University. And the question here from Dede is, please ask the governor, why has LASU refused to graduate its part-time students in the last 3 years? And he put the years 2004, 2005 set are yet to graduate.
Well, honestly, I wish I had an answer specifically.
I'm sure that is why they wanted us to bring it before you so that you can actually...
Yeah, I'm aware that there are problems. I'm aware that there are problems. Up to
students.
yesterday, I had a meeting yesterday. We had some issues. I believe that there was a personnel issue where somebody left the school, and in some not too pleasant circumstances, and the issues about things that needed to be done. But we will sort it out. That's as much I can make of a commitment now. And we have a competent team of people there, the Vice Chancellor, members of the Senate and academic community, and of course members of the Governing Council. Things have just spun out of order a little bit, but we'll bring them back under control.
Mr. Governor,
I do apologize.
sorry to interrupt you, but quickly, would you kindly tell us, why toll is still being collected on the Lekki Bridge when that matter seems to have been resolved by a court?
I'm sure that you know that there is, we run a court of appellate systems here, and an aggrieved party is entitled by the Constitution to lodge an appeal against a decision that he or she is dissatisfied with up to the Supreme Court, when matters, as it were, can then be said to be finally resolved. And Lagos State government has appealed that judgment, and they have also asked for an order to stay execution of the judgment. And that's the much, and the principles are that when a party is applying that enforcement of a judgment should be stayed, it is technically a suspension of the effect of that judgment until the court determines one way or the other whether that application succeeds. And that's where we are at.
So even if the stay had not been granted?
It's a technical stay until the stay is decided upon.
Okay, but before the appeal was done for the stay, some lawyers thought that there should have been an order for them to hold on with the collection pending when that stay is filed.
These things happen rather quickly, I must tell you, and in the days when I was still practicing, if there was a judgment that I was dissatisfied with, I would immediately file a notice of appeal and serve the firm representing the other side. And once they were fixed with notice that I had applied for stay, the principle is clear. They must suspend every action to give effect to the judgment.
I know we're out of time, Chamberlain. Very quickly, we have to ask the governor this question. We read in the papers, in the news, even though sometimes you say you don't want to dignify, but is it true your state has been taken over by soldiers? We have invasion by the army?
Well, we have incursions onto, we've had this long-standing, I don't know what the problem is with federal government, but it is only Lagos State's land that seems always to draw, because I don't know in any other part of the country where this kind of conduct goes on, but we had an incursion into our construction site in Ilubiri, and I think 2 days ago there was another incursion of soldiers into a construction site at Falomo, where a jetty for public water transportation is being built, and a public car park is being constructed, and so we're getting on. I just find it surprising that in the 21st century that any government or any agent of government or any representative of a government will be involved in such unpatriotic and anti-people conduct. If you have issues with our government, I don't think that the agitation of those issues should inflict pain on people, stop development, really, and if this is politics, then it is very distasteful and poor politics.
Well, I want to thank you for coming on. Babatunde Fashola, SAN, is the governor of Lagos, and he's here, and we are also here covering the Lagos Economic Summit. Thank you for coming on this morning.
Thank you for having me.
All right, then we're back after... No.
No.
Oh, dear. No, it's actually where we draw the curtains
No, we're
today.
back tomorrow.
Yes, but today on this show, we're off. So we thank you for your company. It's been great, but we'll see you tomorrow. Thank you for watching, though. I'm Chamberlain for some.
Well, thank you. I'm Maokwe Ogun.
Well, many thanks. I'm Sulaiman.
Bye now.